everyone. Okay, so it's our Wednesday 10-minute trial tips. I'm kind of in a good place today, so we're going to talk about how to not punch opposing counsel in the face. Yes, that's what we're talking about. I got a couple calls this week, and both calls, the person was either dreading the hearing they had coming up or lamenting over the hearing they just completed because opposing counsel was just so difficult that they made it harder than it has to be. So, let me know if this has ever happened to you. You have opposing counsel that either one has no freaking clue how the law works. So they're sitting here trying to concoct some theory of liability or some theory as to why their client should win, even though they don't know which way is up. The person could have just came out of law school, but usually it's somebody that's been doing this long enough where they should know better, right? Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. Or you have somebody where their version of reality and actual reality seem to be two totally different things. The way they're interpreting the law, the way they're making the inferences in the facts, you're just like, what world are you living in? Then you've got the bully. So let me tell you a story that happened to me when I first started as a prosecutor, right? So I've been doing this now for, we're in 2020, almost 18 years. And when I started as a prosecutor almost 18 years ago, there was a lawyer who used to be an assistant state attorney in the same office that I was in. Now he was in private practice as a criminal defense attorney. And it was a stupid case, y'all. I mean, I just started. I'm in misdemeanors. Like, the worst thing I can hand out is impulse control class and some community service hours, right? Because they really wanted to make sure we didn't totally screw something up until we figured out how to lawyer. So it's a petty theft case. It's a petty theft case from Disney because for whatever reason, Disney has these pins that people come from all over the world to collect these freaking things. So this lady had stolen pins. Like, she stole them. I know she stole them. She knows she stole them. And we're going to have a trial because her attorney thought he was better than me. Yes, that is exactly what it was. He thought he was better than me. He thought because I was young, because, if y'all think I look young now, this is just the oil of Olay holding everything together. When I first started, I was 24 years old, 24, and looked even younger than I look now. And he had been doing this for a few years, and he just knew he was going to run circles around this little young chick who was in the middle of Orlando, and that's what was going to happen. I asked him to plea it out to what? Impulse control class and a fine. No, he didn't want to do that. I said, okay, fine. So when I tell you that my secretary and other secretaries came to watch this case because they wanted to know what was going to happen, that's how serious it got. Like, I was a superstar for like 5 minutes, okay? But really, what my secretary knew is he was underestimating me. But she also knew how good he was because she used to be his secretary when he was in the office. And this guy just knew he was about to bully me all across this courtroom. The problem is he didn't know that I knew evidence even way back when. So we did the trial, and two things happened. First thing was my loss prevention officer, who was a part-time loss prevention officer, a full-time firefighter. It was like the heavens opened and a light just shined down on him when he was like, oh, I'm a firefighter. I was like, wait, what? Okay, so first tip, make sure you talk to your witnesses ahead of time. Learned that one. But I was like, oh, really? So tell me more. The jury was eating it up because they were like, oh, he's a firefighter. Like, why would a firefighter ever lie, right? Okay. And while he's telling the story, he tells us that not only did she steal the pins, she used him as a buffer to steal the pins. She asked him to stand right there so nobody could see what she was doing. And he just looked over his shoulder to see exactly what she was doing. Because if you didn't know before, you know now, Disney uses a lot of plainclothes loss prevention officers so that One, it's not intrusive, and two, you have no freaking clue who they are on purpose. So, as he's giving his testimony, I look at the jury, I look at her, I look at the jury, I look at opposing counsel, and I'm trying everything, not to just grin from ear to ear like the Cheshire Cat, right? So we get done, and like I said, he just knew he was going to bully me all across that courtroom. And we get done, and what did I do? I got up, I asked for the same exact offer that I gave him with one caveat. I asked for the 6-month driver's license suspension because Florida statute allows you to get the license of somebody who is convicted of petty theft revoked for 6 months. He turns to me after we get done. Judge gave me exactly what I asked for, and he was like, you didn't have to add the 6 months on there. I said, it was your choice to go to trial. If you want to make the choice, you got to live with the consequences. And really, the consequence was the fact that you thought you were going to bully me around this courtroom, and that's not what we were going to do today. So no, you weren't going to get the same offer that I offered you before you made me go to trial because you thought you were going to take advantage of me. So why did I tell you that story? I told you that story because, one, you can see I'm, a different kind of lawyer, because I am very, very nice until you push me. Tupac said it, I ain't a killer, but don't push me. So the reason is, I believe that there is a way to lawyer where everybody can get done what they need to get done, even in an adversarial system. I handed out years to people without it being contentious. But there was always 1, 2, or 5 lawyers that felt that either, one, because I was a woman, they were better than me. Yes, that exists. 2, because I was a black woman, they were better than me. Yes, that exists. 3, because I was young, they knew more than I did. They thought they did, but because I was young, because I knew what I was facing, I made sure that I knew my rules. So, why do I tell you all this? I tell you all this to help you. And here's how I'm going to help you. We're going to talk about how you deal with a stripperous opposing counsel, i.e., how do you deal with the person who decides they're going to be a total douche, whether they're right or not, okay? So the first thing you have to do, and this is what I used to tell my students when I coach mock trial, this is what I tell lawyers now when they call me and ask me, tell you, what am I supposed to do? The first thing you have to do not get sucked in. Do not, no matter what happens, get sucked in to the crazy, because then they live rent-free in your head. Then they are dictating your litigation tactics. They're dictating your trial strategy, and that is not what you want them to do. So sometimes you got to take a deep breath. Now, told you the story of when I was younger. I'm going to tell you a story that happened last year. Last year, I was doing a copyright infringement case. I know copyright infringement. I teach entertainment law, which involves copyright infringement, trademark infringement, and teaching people how to do this stuff as law students, okay? So I knew what the hell I was doing. But there was an opposing counsel where his version of reality and actual reality, they were not the same. They were just not the same. And because I wanted to do a good job for my client, and because my client has so much writing on this, I literally started to develop anxiety every time I opened my inbox in the morning. Me, somebody who, as you can see by now, just has a whole nother level of ignorance when it comes to her approach in making sure that she doesn't get bullied around the courtroom. Me, somebody who knows the rules of evidence. Me, somebody who teaches lawyers how to do trials, had anxiety every time I opened my inbox. And the reason I had that anxiety was because I didn't know the federal rules of civil procedure the way I wanted to. I knew them. I knew where they were. I knew what they were. I knew the main ones. But this guy would toe the line just close enough where his toe wasn't hanging over like they hang over on sandals, but he was just close enough to the line where there was nothing you could do about it. So that was intimidating because I couldn't figure out how to back him up. And then I made a decision. I made a decision that I was not going to let this dude live rent free in my head. Nobody lives in there for free. Okay? So I had to not get sucked in. I had to realize that his version of reality and actual reality were two totally different things. I had to realize that one, I'm freaking awesome and I know how to lawyer. And two, that he was not better than me. That's the key. The key is we let these people into our heads and we start to doubt who we are. So that's why the first step is don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked into the crazy. Don't get sucked into the ridiculous number of motions that they file. Don't get sucked into the ridiculous arguments that they pull out of thin air. Don't get sucked in. But number two, remember who you are. Remember that you know what you're doing. Remember that even if you feel like you don't know what you're doing, nobody else in the courtroom knows that you don't know what you're doing until you tell them. So remember that you belong there. Remember that this is what you do. You are a lawyer, damn it. You went through law school. You sat the bar exam. And this is what you do. So remember who you are. When you remember who you are, then you lawyer like a frickin' boss. And here's what I mean by that. Get your evidence rules out. I don't go anywhere without my evidence rules. Like I literally have a code sitting on my shelf. Like you see how I just pulled that down here? I always have my evidence code with me because that is 90% of the battle. 90% of the battle is if you know and understand the rules, you can do anything. Third thing. So first thing is what? First thing is don't get sucked in. Second thing is remember who you are. Third, come with a game plan. Come with a game plan that you can execute once you stand in that room and remember who the heck you are. Map out your plan. Map out your evidentiary plan, what it is that you need to do, what it is that you need to make sure they can't do. Map out your testimony plan if you have an evidentiary hearing or if you have a trial that you need to do. Map out the plan. Map out how you're going to present this story. If this is just motion calendar, okay, map out the plan of what the heck we're here about. So, example of one of the things that I ran into this week. This was not an evidentiary hearing. It was simple motion calendar. But opposing counsel was trying to pull evidence, create exhibits, and I was like, listen, the first thing you need to do is go in there and remind the judge of why you're here. This is what we're dealing with, Judge. This is what we're not. Sometimes that allows you to head off opposing counsel at the pass and shut them down in a way that they weren't even expecting. When you can gut somebody else's case, it is the best feeling ever. But you need a game plan in order to be able to do that. You need to know what you need, what you don't, what they can do, what they can't. Once you know and understand those things, there's nothing you can't do. I mean, honestly, there is nothing you can't do. My family law attorneys keep trying to drag me into family law. You know, I'm like, no, I don't like it. I had never done family law and tried a family law case with my co-counsel because all she needed me for was the evidence and guiding through the difficult witnesses. Once you know what you're doing, you can do it anywhere. I can try almost any freaking case, and the only reason I say almost is because I think about securities litigation. I'm like, y'all can keep that, okay? But once it's a trial, I can do it because I know how to try a case. Once you understand who you are and what you do, you can do it anywhere. So one, don't get sucked in. Do not let them pull you into the dark side, okay? Two, remember who you are. You are who you are, and you are a freaking boss. You are doing this. You've been doing this. Don't let them doubt who you are, or let them make you doubt who you are. Three, game plan. Have a game plan that can be executed. Once you do those three things, you can handle any obstreperous counsel, any opposing counsel that decides their main job in life is to be a douche. You can handle that. Okay? Remember that you can handle that. Shut the imposter syndrome down. Shut the negative thoughts down. Shut the limiting thoughts down. And remember, don't get sucked in because nobody lives rent free. Remember who you are and come up with a game plan. That is how you deal with difficult opposing counsel. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that it was something that you can now put in your arsenal and be like, you know what? Tanya told me I could do this. I could totally freaking do this. That's what I'm hoping that this will do for you. And if you got any questions, go ahead and let me know, and I will definitely do what I can to answer them. Thanks for coming. Bye.